It was once said that ninjas do not wish upon a star, they throw them. Well, those of you familiar with Kid Yang also believe they throw bombs and coins too. This is Legend of the Mystical Ninja, developed by Konami, released in 1991-92 North America. This Super Nintendo title follows the story of Kid Ying and Dr. Yang as they travel all around to different regions of Japan, defeating ninjas, thieves, creative bosses, and playing mini-games apparently. Though Electronic Game Monthly magazine says the game didn't catch on too well in America at the time, this game has since been reviewed very well and had made multiple appearances on Best Games for Super Nintendo lists. Popular comments praise the game for its colorful graphics, light-hearted and humorous plot, and of course, its soundtrack. The soundtrack was composed by Kazuhiko Uehara and Harumi Ueko, two Konami veterans who have also found great success on titles like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade games and some of the Castlevania series. The Legend of the Mystical Ninja soundtrack draws direct influence from the music of ancient Japan, think about between the 17th and the 19th century. However, there is one track in particular today that seems to let on a slightly different influence to Western ears. Thank you, Mr. Uehara and Mr. Ueko, for all of your wonderful contributions to video game music. We will be looking at King Ryukyu's secret as we talk about Neo Soul on today's episode of Stick to Games. Hey everybody, Kenny Jr. here, and welcome back to Stick to Games. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the genre of neo-soul music. Think about the smooth stylings of people like Jill Scott and Lauryn Hill, and that's the kind of vibe we're going for today. To give a little bit of background on neo-soul, it derives from the 80s and early 90s artists like Prince and Tony. And there has been a lot of debate about what neo-soul actually is. For the most part, it's thought of to be like new wave R&B. But it dials back on the digitally produced effects and gets back to more soulful roots like conscious-driven lyrics and strong rhythmic influences. Classifying neo-soul and distinguishing it from R&B, a bit of a moot point since they both draw from similar influences like funk, jazz, soul, and pop. At the end of the day, it's just really great music to vibe to, and contemporary drummers such as Eric Moore or Questlove have set a great precedent for things that drummers can do to this genre of music. So, if you're ready to check out some neo-soul ideas inspired by drummers like those, let's take it to the set. So by now, you are probably wondering how a soundtrack inspired by 17th century Japanese music would ever yield to a neo-soul drum lesson. Well, let's start by looking at the opening of this piece. The first thing that happens is that we open up with a cool little single-stroke fill mingled in with some kick drum. Real simple but profound. After that, we jump immediately into the main groove. We can see here that the main groove is based on a 16-beat linear pattern. We saw something similar to this when looking at the opening of Swamp Stage from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You'll hear this groove for the most part throughout the piece. There will be some slight variations, but the general idea is to focus on some syncopated kick, your snare drum on 2 and 4, and the hi-hat filling in the gaps. Now this right here already has the foundation of a neo-soul drum part as it is. But there are a few things we can add to make it sound a bit more familiar. First, we will throw in some syncopated ghost notes on the snare drum. Let's also add some extra hi-hat flavor by turning some of the single strokes into double strokes, adding some left-hand play. And we will also toy around with different places to open and close the hi-hat. One other thing we will do, which is actually present in the song, is add a quick little kick where we cue with the music and the upbeat. The crash symbol is notated in parentheses here because while it's not technically true to the perceived drum part from the OST, it's just too iconic of a soul move to not have included in the chart. Do you hear it now? Once we spiced the part up with those neo-soul tropes, now it is starting to sound more like something that D'Angelo or Erykah Badu would sing over. The only thing missing now is some rock-solid linear fills. Let's review the fills we hear in the track. The first of these is a little 2-count 16th note kick and snare driven fill that caps off with a little diddle at the end of measure 3. This is actually the fill right before the big cue. The next one comes at measure 9. The first 2 counts of this fill cue alongside the music, and the second 2 counts has the drum filling in the gap, getting ready for the next section. A nice little snare-led fill with a little bit of kick spliced in too. The next fill comes from measure 17, another 2-count fill that uses almost all kick. Are you starting to notice a pattern yet? The decision to heavily use kick drums and fills is also a popular idea for contemporary drummers in the neo-soul style of music. The last fill included in the track begins at the end of measure 19, which is the same as measure 17, but then this one continues into measure 20, which once again, the first 2 counts cue alongside of the music and the second 2 counts help to turn it around. And guess which drum we use the most? That's right, more kick drum. And alright, that covers all of the written drum part. I hope you were able to pick up just a little bit about that neo-soul style of drumming. For playback today, we are going to have yet another personal arrangement of mine featuring some good friends. We are going to slow this one way down and give it that personal meaning. So if you are ready to see this in action, let's take it from the top. everybody, that just about covers everything we had to talk about today. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button and also subscribe so you can see my future videos. Remember to hit me up on social media, Instagram or Twitter, if you want to make a special request for a video or if you just want to drop by and say hi. Also, be sure to check out my website where you can find these transcriptions as well as other content that I produce. I hope you enjoyed everything today, and I hope to see you again soon. Till next time.